Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session on a trifecta of a successful Sitecore project. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to be giving you a brief introduction, some scene setting, and then we're going to take you on the journey that we've been on for the last year. And then finally, there'll be a conclusion and a recap of what we've been doing, and then any questions you have. All right, so let us introduce ourselves.
Thanks, Tim. So I'm Beatrice Bobillon. I manage the Southern Europe and Middle East customer success team at Sitecore. I've been in customer success for the past 9 years, and let's say my interest really lies in customer success, of course, but also voice of the customer program, digital asset management, and marketing automation.
And my name's Tim Marsh. I'm a solution architect, technical consultant at EPAM Systems. I've been working with Sitecore for too long. I'm a two-time MVP, and I'm normally the guy that support really doesn't like, because I try and push the products past their boundary. So, but yeah, no, at EPAM I do a lot of roles and different things.
Right, so session goals. So during this session, we are going to perhaps introduce you, or perhaps repeat some things that you already know, but what is a CSM, what is a PTA, partner roles as well. And then we give you a bit of background on the customer, the project itself, which challenges we had, and more importantly, how we were able to overcome them. And by the end of the presentation, you should really know why communicating effectively is imperative. I mean, everyone knows that, but I guess there are tools in that you can put in place, because that doesn't really happen all the time by chance. So, but before we start on the project, I just wanted to start with an introduction to Angela Duckworth. She's a psychologist who is famous for her work on the concept of grit. So I don't know if anyone has seen her TED Talk on YouTube. I guess no one? Yes? Yeah, just a few people. So for the one who haven't seen it, it's a really good TED Talk. She's one of the most viewed TED Talk in the history of TED Talks. So she's got over 13 million views. I encourage you to go and see it. But basically, she was a consultant, and she left that job to become a teacher and teach mathematics to 7th grader in New York, 12 years old, which to me sounds like hell. But that was her vocation, so, you know. And what she realized was that really quickly, like, IQ is not the most, like the best predictor of factor, the best factor of, the best predictor of success. So what she did was turn to psychology and started to do lots of studies on the concept of grit. And she did study lots of people, professional athletes, private businesses, salespeople, trying to answer that question, who is going to be the most successful person? And she did a study on military cadets at West Point. So they are, West Point is a very prestigious military academy. And just to give you an idea, like, you have 14,000 people applying to get to West Point each year. And out of these 14,000, only 1,200 people get admitted. So it's very high standard for both academic and also physical exams. And yet, these people are very bright, but what happens is that out of these people who get admitted, 1 in 5 people who has been admitted will drop before graduation. So imagine you spend quite a lot of time trying to get into West Point, all of that not to finish, so 20% drops. And a lot of them drop during what they call the Biz Barracks, is the first few months of West Point. And you know, in case you want to take your life to the next level, I'm sharing their agenda or what they do each day. So before I even get up, they already have trained for 1.5 hours, showered, assembled in a courtyard, and all that stuff. So anyway, she studied all these cadets, 1,200, and she was able to establish a grit scale. And what she quickly found was that grit is a much better predictor of success than physical ability and cognitive ability will be. So what, is the best predictor of success? So it's not your leadership, your academic score, how strong you are, how pretty you are. It's grit. And it's a bit like that for an IT project, right? So you get dealt, you're in a team, A team, B team, sometimes Z team, and somehow you've got to deliver a project for a client. Perseverance and getting to, staying on par with your goal is really important. So now I'm going to come back to some of the actors or characters of the story. So the CSM, the partner in the PTA. And I'm going to explain a bit more what we do. So I'm going to start with myself, customer success manager. And the concept of customer success manager varies widely depending on the business. The product people, I don't know if there are any here, but they probably think that we're just here to complain about the product and ask for new features. My family doesn't know what I do. I've given up on that. And I feel like I spend quite a lot of time on escalation calls and also a lot of meetings. But at Sitecore, CSM, we really are focused on adoption. So we want to drive deeper relationship with our customers, making sure that they fully adopt the product and that ultimately they become advocate of Sitecore. And these are just a few things that we do as CSMs, but we run some onboarding sessions when a new customer comes on board with a new contract. So how to work with support, how to find the new resources. We also drive some value realization through a value realization framework. This is really focused on adopting the software or the platform that they have purchased. We also do some digital maturity assessment to try and guide our customers towards the next best step for their roadmap and share some best practices.
Thanks, Beatrice. So these slides here, guys, have actually been provided by Martin, who's sitting in the front row. Martin, give everyone a wave. There he is. No, there was only two of us allowed to speak, so Martin kindly helped us out, and he's here as our biggest cheerleader today to help us. But yeah, so Martin gave us these, and and as he said, when you start a project for the first time, everyone's like, yes, it's an adventure, and you think, wow, whether it's your first composable platform, whichever. However, obviously sometimes you might bite off more than you can chew, or it's a bit bigger than what you think. So you can be a bit naive. So you have to think about what do we do next? And here, fear not, Sitecore are actually here to help with the PTA role. So what partners and clients, when they commence on an adventure, you can have a PTA assigned. So same as a CSM for your client, a PTA can be assigned for your technical side. And with the right training, guidance, sometimes just a sounding board to speak to and say, will this work? That's what they're there for. Obviously not officially that last one. But the idea is that they're here to help. They want it to be successful, same as a CSM does. A bonus question though, if anyone in the audience does know the type of shark, please speak to Martin, because he took the picture himself, and here's a little quiz for you there. But obviously the big thing we don't want this. We don't want something catching fire and causing a big problem. Everyone wants to avoid this situation. Partners, CSMs, everyone, the client as well. So the idea is, there's no guarantee that you won't see any challenges, but let's say a PTA is sort of like a little bit of a safety net to try and help you. Okay, and obviously, the thing that probably before we say what a PTA also is, I'll probably say what they're not. A PTA isn't an additional project resource, so they're not someone to go on there and you say, give me this solution or do this. They're not for that. They're there to just give you guidance on what you do. So as you can see, there is the idea is a PTA, they consult with partners, they try and inspire the community, give guidance, anything you'd want from a CSM on the technical side. That's what they're there for. But the whole team, they work closely with you, regular meetings, trying to understand, if there's gaps or where they can help. Now we're going to go on to what a partner does. Now, obviously, most of you probably think I know what a partner does, but let's just say it's more like what don't we do. So we bridge the gap between a customer's dreams and actually where the reality is. But obviously, customers have really complicated ecosystems. So as you can see here, there is a few different products with other Sitecore products, other composable ones, but it can be a very tangled mess. If you don't do things properly, you can get, it depends on your journey. You might inherit a mess, which is even worse, but you don't want to try and get into a mess. So you actually want to take it from something like this to this, a nice, structured layout. That would be a dream for everyone here. But, it's a very complicated job to get right, but when you do it, you get a great feeling. And also a tip, which I don't follow myself, and I should, say no. Or say to the customer, let's have a rethink. That's a really key thing, and I don't do it, and that's probably the worst thing. I should. So, if you can say no, that's a real thing. Not just say no because you don't want to do it. No, because there's a reason. But try and give them an alternative. I think that's always the way. But you want to solve the problem. Cool.
Thank you. So this takes us back to the three characters in our story, CSM, partner, PTA. So hopefully that's a lot clearer for everyone. and to the concept of trifecta, which is the name of the talk today. And I have to admit, before we started to do this talk, I had no idea what a trifecta is. And then Martin was kind enough to explain to me that it's like a group of three, a triad, and he gave me a really good analogy that I'm going to give you today. It's like yogurt, the perfect food. It's a perfect balance of proteins, carbs, and fats. So I'll let you think on that one for a while. And then at the center is the customer. And the customer is exactly in the middle, and as you can see, this expands that anything that we will do, like CSM, PTN partner, and the efforts that you put into a project are really going to impact directly the customer. Now, a time for the project. I'm going to set the scene, so we can't really say the name of the customer. We're just going to provide some basic information about the industry. But once upon a time, there was a customer that had a composable dream. So what did they want to do? They wanted to find a set of solutions to empower their global user, find something that is SaaS to support their vision, something that is scalable, and something that is available 24/7 with fast response time. So this customer, to give you an overview, they work in the hospitality industry. They're huge. They're in 40 countries. They've got 400,000 employees, a bit more than that. And they serve more than 70 million consumers each day. In terms of the scope, they wanted something that was software that was responsive, multilingual, a place to have their assets centralized with an integration to single sign-on, an intelligent search, and also something that was scalable. And that leads us to the journey.
Right, as you'll see here, guys, there's the Sitecore products we've just seen in the previous room. Obviously, there's new ones going to be coming soon. But for this engagement, we're going to be talking about the ones here that are highlighted. So this journey started with the customer with XM and Managed Cloud, and then they've moved into the composable world. So what we'll do is let's tackle each part as we go along, and we'll give you some of the challenges and how we solved them and how we use grit, as Beatrice told earlier. So I mean, XM was this is what the customer had. They were using it for their websites. They used Managed Cloud. They didn't want to host it, so Managed Cloud was the perfect option for them. They wanted just the partner to come in, didn't have any DevOps experience, anything like that, or some DevOps, but not to host it properly. They used Managed Cloud, and that's what it was for. It worked really well for them for the site. A good thing here, though, is that they were an early adopter of JSS, and the way they built the site actually helped them for later stuff. So we can explain that in a minute when we get to XM Cloud. But yeah, the way they built this, probably by luck more than anything, they fell into it, but they built it the right way that got them to the next stage. Let's talk about content hubs. This is the big piece that we're going to be concentrating on today. This is where I joined the project. So this customer here, they needed somewhere to centrally store all their content and assets. They've got some other requirements as well, but the big one was they wanted something that was SaaS, as we said, globally accessible, flexible data modeling, and they can create different views. In addition to the global asset stories, they've got lots of teams. So they have a global team, they have loads of different business teams, divisions that all need to be able to access assets that are available to them. And on top of that, they also needed a solution to do print and digital assets. So automatically, we're getting quite a complicated ecosystem just in one product. So, and what I'll do now is I'll define the print and digital asset. So if we imagine content hubs here, and as you say, we've got our assets and our products. What we've built on top of this is that we've built all these extra functionalities, which are some are views, some are functions, but all sit behind the scenes that give these users what they need to be able to build. And when we say here a digital asset, it could be a menu, it could be literature, signage, anything like that for their use. But we are talking about, say, a global customer, not only 400,000 employees, they're across thousands of locations globally. So each location can have a different set of products, a different look and feel. So this is where the intelligence comes in, and that's why we've got a lot of complexity here in this solution. But on top of that, it's the data. We've literally got millions of products that some are changing, some are not, but there's lots of data updates happening, and this was one of our issues, which I'll cover in a second. But this was big, and we had a lot of data flowing into the system and flowing out every day. But the design aspect here is that, designers that build, let's just say anything, in InDesign, Illustrator, or Photoshop, they can take these assets, they can build smart, intelligent templates, and then from that, we use the power of Sitecore Content Publisher, which is Chili Publish, to then build them. So a user can go in self-service and build what they need. And this is what the solution was. So the dam was the assets, but this was the bit on top. However, we had a few challenges, and this meant a lot of regular calls with the Sitecore support and platform teams, and the product broke. A couple of times. And when we say broke, literally, yeah, not some good calls, very late, like, ouch, that hurts. But yeah, when we have a few examples here of why it broke, but the best part we can say here is that we've learned from these experiences, quite hard, but we've learned from them that we won't be doing these again like that. But the first one we're going to get is platform slowness. And I mean, anyone that's worked with websites will understand, you get a user ring up and say, or an email and say, it's not working, this isn't working, and you're like, what's not working? And you have that nice song and dance, going back, trying to get to the problem. But yeah, we were getting reports of platform slow, and you're thinking, why? Why could it be slow? And you can't replicate it. Obviously, dev machines and local instances. I was an admin, so mine was super fast. And I can't find slowness. What is it? Yeah, it was a pain. But I mean, I did a talk last year at SUGCON about using Google Tag Manager to inject. You can inject tags to pass to APM tools like Application Insights. So what we actually did is, I deployed this for every customer. We started using the data to actually then see where the slowness was, because Sitecore unfortunately can't tell me exactly what user or what they can but there's a lot of logs, put it that way. But for us, we actually then got a snapshot of where it was having slowness, what pages, what functions, what times of day, whereabouts they were from. When we started getting that data, we knew, look, we've got a baseline, we don't want to get worse. But then what this enabled us to do is then try and get better. So users then were then reporting slowness. We could obviously check the date and time, find out what they were trying to do, find out what was running in the background. As soon as we had these aspects, we could then make changes. I mean, with this one here, I mean, this was down to a very complicated scheme that had a lot of relations, and unfortunately it just got into a cascade. It was recursively cascading. It was unbelievably complicated to solve as well. But the best part was I worked with Sitecore support, and the team did. We worked and we found where we can make little changes, and what we actually done is we made very small little changes to aspects in the schemas that started giving us benefits, and that was the best part. Things started getting better. We've now solved this issue. It's not slow anymore. But yes, that was painful for a few weeks at least, and Sitecore support were really good, and obviously the team here, the trifecta. The next one is we're going to call about too many updates. Now, as I said, this customer has millions of products, and as one of our developers or one of our architects is here that actually built the mechanism for this, and he knows the pain. But we had a lot of we were trying to get a lot of data into the system, and unfortunately, what was happening was, if anyone's worked with content before, we have a lot of caches and graphs behind the scene that will categorise the data and then get it ready for speed. Unfortunately, what was happening was we were pumping so much data into Content Hub that didn't need to be there, that every time it got to finishing, the next data update was dropping in, and it was recursing again. So we had a lot of problems, and what happened was that we had to come up with a solution, and actually the solution was to remove the data. So actually we spoke to the customer and did an API, because we didn't need this data in there. We were putting it in there for resilience and for loads of other reasons, but actually it's globally available and it was resilient. So we changed our data model, we changed how we were doing it, and now users get all their data automatically. It's all real time. So yeah, we had some hard times, we'll say, but yeah, the positive is there. But the best part is, as I just said, it's working and growing. So now Content Hub as a product, it's now being used across multiple divisions, multiple teams. We have loads of teams logging in. We've still got the print and digital capabilities, more enrichment for the marketing teams. We've also got loads of other custom solutions like manuals and other aspects they want to start doing. This company is massive and they've got a tool for everything. So we're trying to show them the benefit of trying to unify their data. And now we've got the data, it's now trying to get that data out to the teams. So that's what we're trying to do now. I'm going to talk to you about the XM Cloud journey. I'm going to be honest, one's been quite uneventful as compared to Content Hub anyway. They've been upgrading. There's been minor questions, and obviously Martin's been involved with the team, and they will go back and forth, and we'll do it. But generally, this is a migration. They're migrating the website. Everything seems to be working as well. But the big thing is here, they're creating a digital factory. So where they used to have one site on XP, and they used to have other sites on different systems, they're now consolidating down. And then the idea is they want a cookie-cutter approach, that they can literally have a team or division come to them and say, I need a new site. And then they can spin it up, skin the website, and it's deployed and done. All on the same components. It's the composable dream, we'll call it. However, and kindly provided by Martin, we have a load of questions. So these are the sort of questions that Martin has said, and I've seen this as well, where people can ask that when they're coming from an XP background, how do I back up the database? How do I get to the hosting? You don't, you can't. It's XM Cloud. So they're the sort of things. But obviously some of these are messing around as well. But the idea is that it's a very different platform. There's less moving parts. I think that's the key aspect. Is slightly different in how you operate with it. The last one here is actually Sitecore Search. So they're actually implementing search at the minute. This is going really well. I mean, there's not really much to say because the project's not been deployed just yet, but it's underway. It's integrated to XM Cloud. And yeah, this is giving them obviously the AI search, everything they need. So yeah, that's another uneventful one. It was just Content Hub we had a lot of fun on. But anyway, as you can see, it's a large composable ecosystem. You know, we've got multiple products serving multiple websites, multiple users globally, different DAM users, the print and digital aspects. It's a big ecosystem, so it's not a singular product here we're talking about. We're talking about how we're working with loads of different solutions.
Oh, thanks, Tim. So as you can see, project can have challenges. It never goes like you would want it to be. And so basically, if it was me, I really like the little memes on the left. I would definitely have gone for that gold plating button without hesitation. But really what we did during this project is really actively trying not to point fingers at each other, because when things are going bad, it's easy to like turn to the neighbor and just say, oh, it's his fault. So we really try to keep each other in the loop and be very transparent throughout the project, and that really helped. So it's all about working together. That is us together with the customer at the end of the project. But this didn't happen by chance, right? So, effective project management, there's a lot of study on it, and there are lots of KPIs that can influence like the successful delivery of the project. Stakeholder engagement is the first one. If you've got actively engaged stakeholders, that increase the chance of success by 15-20%. Teams that are able to communicate well have a really good impact, so 50% decrease in project failures. Team collaboration, project with strong collaboration are 20% more likely to be a success. Thank you very much, Tim. Totally forgotten I had animations here. I spent hours doing. Thank you. Project scope management. So project with effective scope management are 20% more likely to be delivered on time and within budgets. And the last but not least is risk management. If you've got a proper risk management strategy, that can decrease the chances of failure by 90%. And by putting a few things together straight at the beginning of the project, thank you, we were able to influence 3 of these KPIs: communication, team collaboration, and risk management. So straight at the beginning of the project, we've put together a collaboration matrix. So if you've got a project, it's really important that you really try and get and utilize all the resources you can get, so CSMs, PTA. If this is not in place, I suggest you do it. That's a big, let's say, collaboration matrix, but we made sure straight from the beginning that we were communicating with all the stakeholders. So we had calls, weekly calls, just Sitecore and EPAM. We also had technical project calls weekly, so Martin with EPAM, and it's a mix of business as well. So making sure that you get like QBR or monthly, just to take a bird's eye view about what is going well, what is not going well, and just really flush all the project, the issues as they come. So this is what we did for this particular project, and obviously we had a lot of calls with engineering, product, support, just to try and find solutions to the issues that we encountered. And then the last KPI is the risk management. So, a question that we all ask is like, as part of your project, do you address risk early? And if you ask people who work on project, then, we all think, yeah, of course we do. I mean, it's basic. But then it's a bit like wanting to go to the gym at 5 a.m. You're just in bed tired. I mean, it's the same for your IT project. You've got to fit the content of 3 sprints into one, and you've got an unexpected bug, you've got to find solutions, so you're just dealing with issues as they come. So really on the risk management, it's really good to sit together and think about what sort of risk you can get from the beginning. And for Content Hub, we see some of the issues coming back sometimes, so it really depends also on the size of the project. So if you've got a big Content Hub project, you're more likely, for example, to see some performance issues. That was the case here, like Tim was explaining. Page load time, so what is the impact? The platform is really slow. Users are like, I don't want to use this, I'm waiting too long. Same for the integration. You can get data missing in your downstream system, and also the platform can get slow because you're hammering the Content Hub. One that's really important in Content Hub as well is the data import completion. That is something that tends to be overlooked, but the rate at which you import your data is fixed, right? And I've seen some projects where they had so much data to import that the data they had set up for the go live was too early, and that physically, by importing data 24/7, you could not get all the data on time for go live. So that's something that needs to be considered at the beginning as well. Functional gaps, there is always use cases that you can really answer with Content Hub in that case. It's good to just address with like CSMs or Sitecore really early. We can't really solve all the functional gaps, but if there is a solution, we'll try and help. So it's important to raise them early and not perhaps like 2 weeks before a go live, as I've seen it happen, not on this project, but on other occasions. Security testing is one that can happen. So for all these risks, just have a list the impact. What's the level of the risk? Is it a showstopper? Is it a risk that you can live with? It's going to be a problem, but it's okay for go live, for example. And then think about, okay, when should we start thinking about this risk and address them all together? So for performance, 2 months before. Some big project, it can be a year before. It could be 6 months before, because performance is not something that gets solved very quickly. And obviously you can do like a risk matrix as well, like you can review on a regular basis. So that's what we did for this particular project. Just as a conclusion, working together is key. So it's good to have like the good framework to work together at the beginning and take a bit of time to put this framework in place. You're just putting recurring calls just to make sure that we meet up on a regular basis. It's already a good start. Always focus on the outcome, even when things get difficult. Be a bit adaptable to change, and also it's okay to say no. And also we all work in like difficult situations. Sometimes it's really tense, but it's okay to say, I'm not comfortable with that, or we're all human beings, right? And sometimes we tend to forget it when things get tough.
Cool. Just to add here, everything's now, or not everything, obviously we've got a platform, but all the SaaS stuff, it gets updates automatically. It's a very different ecosystem. That also can be sometimes a problem if customers have integrations built and there's changes. But check out the developers.sitecore.com. There's loads of information there. One part we also want to pull out, so this was, Martin asked me to put this, was Sitecore Accelerate. So anyone that hasn't seen this or been introduced, Accelerate's what is Sitecore's way of lending information and plans and recipes, let's call them. So here, there's a load for XM Cloud now, Content Hub's coming, but you can go there, you can find out how to do things. So it's a really, really good resource. I think it'll be really useful for anyone that wants to know. Go there, speak to Martin, he'll tell you all about it. Martin is here, but there he is diving. So there, but any questions you've got, he's put his contact information there. Please speak to him here, any questions you have. Cool. And then just a little bit of recap. So as you can see, this is a complicated customer with a lot of products, very big, lot of people. It's all right, you're not alone. We work together really close, but I think, depending on the project teams you get, and especially the Sitecore contacts, there's people there that want to help. They want to do more with you. And then, there's our trifecta, as we've explained, and obviously Sitecore is a composable ecosystem, so there's lots of products, lots of different stuff you can use. I'm Tim.
I'm Beatrice.
Thank you very much for being here, and thank you to all the sponsors. We're very happy to open up to any questions anyone has. We went through that probably about 5 minutes quicker than what we thought. But any questions anyone's got, I'm very happy to answer or talk after. You can have 15 minutes back to go and get another coffee or a cake, whichever.
You could do a little dance.
No, Martin can, I can't. Cool.
Yeah, I would like to ask about the grid.
Yes?
Like
Yeah, the TED Talk.
okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, so the question was about grit and the concept, and sorry about it. It's also something that I could have spent more time explaining. Yeah. That one, yes. So grit is how likely you are to stick to a situation when it gets difficult. So, for example, I was telling you that when Angela did her grit scale, she was asking questions such as, I get easily distracted by new projects. I tend not to finish the project I start, or when things are difficult, I tend to get demotivated, things like that. So it's a lot of questions, and then basically what she found out is that people who are, let's say, more perseverance, so have more grit are the one that succeed. So grit is really perseverance, is passion, is about, you know, being here and showing up day in, day out. And it's also very much into showing up in the long term. So if you think about like a musician, they will go and train like every day, and then you've got this concept that says like if someone has done more than 10,000 hours of a particular practice, so it could be music or it could be coding or whatever, they will become an expert, and the 10,000 is the threshold. And it's really about like getting to a 10,000 and not really giving up before. So I hope that clarifies the question a bit.
And just to add, I think grit in this project was we had to dig down and we had to work. You know, we had a good customer, but they can be very tough. But we worked together, and that's just being honest here. I mean, we had a lot of time, a lot of people working out of hours, trying to. At the end of the day, with all these projects, we want to see them succeed. Especially the print and design one. You know, I was involved from day one with this customer, and I want to see it. You know, I want to see it out there because it can actually change. It's digital transformation at scale. So for me, I want to see it. So it's hard that when something's not working because you've got a performance problem or a data problem, a usability problem, then you have to go back. So I think you have to dig in grit yourself, especially for me, to sort of say, how do we solve it then? How do we think about it a new way? So yeah, that's how I'd say grit is definitely applies to how we work.
Cool.
Thank you very much.